Ladies and gentlemen, silver, what I feel and how I feel about it. Gamestop, what and how I feel about it. Hedge funds, what and how I feel about it. And the markets. I am Mark Melnick. This is the Newsbeat Show. By watching this video, you're going to pause on the slide, read it in its entirety, and then hit play. Thank you so much for reading that. I appreciate it. All right, where do we start? So, unless you're a caveman living somewhere, and even then, maybe this may not be true, you should definitely know that everybody with an internet connection is talking about silver, GameStop, Wall Street bets, the hedge funds, the markets. Everybody has an opinion. I feel there's two sides to the table here. Here's my opinion. Doesn't really matter. This is not left Twix versus right Twix. Which side are you on? And there's two factories next to each other, you know, pumping out like sugary goodness, and you got to choose between the left Twix and the right Twix. They taste completely different. On one side of the table with this whole things, and I'm going to give you everything I felt, and we are talking to the room last week about silver, and there's one side of the table who is like, stick it to the man. About time the little man has control. Yeah! Go little man! F you, hedge funds! I can't believe Robinhood did that. They're in the pockets of the hedge funds. Yes, they are in the pockets of the hedge funds. Yes, we live in a free country where you have the right to say F you to the hedge funds. And on the other side of the table, these retail investors are all colluding together to drive up the price of a stock. And these guys don't do any fundamental analysis. Can you explain the fundamental analysis of why GME should be a $300, $400, $500 stock? And I look at it and I'm like, As soon as Andrew Left came out on GME in real time, not even seconds later after his tweet, I was pointing out how stupid he was because we're in a hyper inflationary environment. Now, when I say hyperinflation, I'm not talking Zimbabwe hyperinflation where, I have a $100 trillion bill and they can't buy me a bottle of water. I'm not talking that hyperinflation or the old Germany hyperinflation. It's hyperinflation in terms of what the U.S. is used to. We're not talking we're not talking about your money losing half of its value every 2 weeks or 3 weeks here. But I do believe as we print trillions of dollars, I believe it is inevitable that your money is going to deflate. One of the most interesting topics to me was gold, silver, and precious metals and rare earth metals as well. I could not for the life of me. That is the one thing I was just not able to wrap my head around. Like everything else, I would say, yeah, these stocks should go up. Just look at all my old Tesla videos when all the analysts went on the sidelines after it drops, 20% in value, and I'm coming out calling for all-time highs and doubling, and it happens within a week or two. Uh, like, uh, and I have like I think 3 videos like that. Just look up Newsbeat show Tesla and just go through them. You could look through them. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm not right all the time, but I can wrap my point is I can wrap my head around these things. People could wrap their heads around these things. When it comes to silver, when it comes to gold, when it comes to precious metals, that I will tell you out of everything that has happened in 2020, 2021, 2019, whatever, I cannot wrap my head around that. Why? Because silver is priced in, wait for it, US dollars. You see, if silver was priced in gold bars, this inflationary thing wouldn't mean anything. If you said if you said 10 ounces of silver is worth 1 ounce of gold, I know it's a lot less, but just for argument's sake, 10 ounces of silver is worth 1 ounce of gold. Doesn't matter if the dollar inflates, deflates, whatever. It's probably not going to change too much from there. you have a relative ratio. The problem with silver is it's valued in US dollars. It's rare compared to other things found easily on the earth. And we know we have a limited supply here on our planet. Nobody actually talks about the fact that silver is actually being created here on the planet as well, just through, millions of years of compression of minerals. And I don't want to get into that aspect, but for the most part, it's considered a very limited resource. So with silver being priced in US dollars, this is definitely one of the names, and we'll use SLV. I mean, look, you want to use some of the actual silver companies here. You want to look at a First Majestic. You want to look at, I mean, it just goes on and on and on for all the silver names, but we'll use SLV just for argument's sake. I mean, taking a look at a monthly of SLV, here's a monthly chart. I need to remind you, with no splits or anything, I mean, they did have a 10 for 1 split back in 2008. But I will tell you, in April of 2011 here, SLV was trading as high as $48.35. Pretty much it's going to be a little more than halfway there, but you know, living on a prayer, right? It's just one of those things that we're unable to really rally with the market. And if you look at GLD, gold has done a lot better job of rallying. Now, here is the problem between the two, and here is my opinion. First of all, in my opinion, silver is by far a more useful metal. Just on a strict fundamental perspective, how people use it. It's a natural antimicrobial. It's an it actually is a very amazing antimicrobial. In fact, like I think it's one of the most important metals to man. Silver. I have GLD up. GLD, however, gold was able to hit all-time highs, and by gold I mean GLD. Just so we're perfectly clear here, GLD hit all-time highs back in August 2020 when it hit $194.45. However, silver has not. The argument here on silver is that there are a lot of these hedge funds short contracts holding the price down for their evil little plans. But if you just literally take yourself and separate yourself from the idiocy, from the Pollux, to the I'm giving it to the man, or the little investor is manipulating this, and you just pull yourself out of the BS. Just back up from it for a second. And let's get into the psychology of a hedge fund. Now remember, what I'm saying is strictly my opinions. I suggest nobody acts on one word I say. Just use it for educational, more entertainment purposes as well. Now that we got that out of the way, the psychology of these hedge funds have to be, could you imagine being short silver? You want to know what should be the biggest driver of silver? Not the Wall Street bet people. They, in my opinion, already have a self-fulfilling prophecy. They already have a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'll describe what I mean. To me, it's very hard to imagine silver not getting traction because how stupid would you have to be at this point after watching Melvin Capital, who shorted GameStop? And by the way, just so we're clear, 140% of the GameStop shares out there were short at one point. 140%. How is that possible? 140% of the shares that exist, more than the shares that are out there, were shorting GameStop. Now, I'm not saying anything. I don't look I don't look at these things as, you know, I don't look at these things. I look at it as awkward. I mean, fundamentally, I have trouble wrapping my. I do think that's where you borderline being wrong, when you could short more shares than actually exist. And I would say the same thing if you could go long more shares than actually exist, because then they don't effing exist. How can you tell me 100 shares exist if you're short 140 shares? How can you tell me 100 shares exist if you're long 140 shares? You get my point? So I personally do have fundamental questions about that and how they were able to get by that. For me, I don't think that's right. And what happens is you have a group of people who see what's going on and can't stand these hedge funds. Now, there's a lot of danger here in silver, but I'm going to come out right now, before anybody wants to talk price target. You see, everybody is just like a little shriveling, a little shriveling. You can insert your favorite word there. Nobody has really trying to think of the scientific term here, the testicular fortitude of actually talking about where they think silver can go. Nobody actually wants to talk about it. Nobody actually wants to come out and say, I think it could go here. Everybody's just shutting the F up and saying, oh, silver could go higher. How much? So I'll come out and say this. I'll just give an opinion and then I'll talk about my number afterwards because I'm going to be right or I'll be wrong, but it's for educational purposes only. I'm whatever. I'm not always right, but I'm not one of those gurus who only focus on everything I do right in order to maintain an image of bullshit. I would be happy to be wrong and I'd be happy to be right, but at least I'll put myself on the line and I won't vomit 30 names at you and say I did well overall when 20 of them fail, right? At least respect that. So these hedge funds, so according to the Reddit Wall Street Bets, I'm not looking, I didn't do my due diligence. I don't know which hedge fund is short how much silver. Hedge funds are massively short silver. According to, let's just call them internet readings. You know, do your own due diligence, right? Just look it up yourself. The point is not to talk about how short they are. It's supposedly massively short, is what we're hearing, right? So let me ask you, these hedge funds, and they're not coming in with this discussion tomorrow morning. They had to have been discussing this over the weekend because already you can see the silver futures exploding higher already. And we were talking about this in the Newsbeat live room. So if you wanted this information a lot more timely, you could have gotten it there. But according to investing.com, and just from the weekend right now, there's a 6.5% up move in silver futures right now as we speak. And obviously, it's live, it's trading. You can see it there. It happens before the market opens. So these hedge funds are massively short silver. Now imagine this. They know that there's what is Wall Street Bets up to? 8 million people following them now. They obviously made a name for themselves. And they know that they are trying to squeeze the shorts. It went from 7.5 million was in between. Thank you. They're trying to take silver up to squeeze out these hedge funds. Now imagine you're a hedge fund and you're short silver. What would you do? What would you do? You know what? Let's see. I'm going to ask basic answers. What would you do if you were a hedge fund short silver? And I'm going to share with you guys the poll from the Newsbeat live room, live in real time. What would you do? Here's the question. What would you do if you were a hedge fund short silver? Would you cover? Would you hold? Would you short more? Or would you go long, meaning you cover your position and then take the flip side? Would you hedge? I mean, pretty much go long is covering, so I'm just going to remove that answer because you can't say cover and go long because they're going long, they're buying. So let's just use the word buying instead. And what we're going to do is we're going to send this poll to the Newsbeat live room and we're going to share it with our viewing audience here today. What we're going to do is we're just going to add a little screen capture and right over here. And the question is, what would you What would you do if you were a hedge fund short silver? And in case you don't understand, as you see the numbers coming in live right now on this broadcast, in case you don't understand, for me, the opinions of the Newsbeat live room to me are like gold, pun intended here. I know I'm talking about silver. It's better than silver. It's like gold to me, the opinions here. So, in my experience, when a lot of people in the room flood one answer, it's usually right in my experience, but again, educational purposes, nobody knows what these hedge funds will do. I'm not even telling you. So here's the thing. Most people, most people, and some people, even though they think these hedge funds, some people think these hedge funds, even if they think silver will go up, they might just short more because that's what they'll do. The question is not whether or not you think silver will go up or down. I'm just saying, what would you do if you were a hedge fund short silver? Because they talk about these hedge funds short all these silver contracts. So as you could see, about 3 out of 4 people, and we're just still getting some votes in. 3 out of 4 people here would basically, would basically make the argument that um, they would buy into it. And that's the red answer in the pie diagram you see there. Okay, so most people would step in and consider. Most people think that the hedge funds are going to step in and buy it. You see the difference this time. The difference this time is what happened with GME. And just so we're clear, it was down after hours. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing go to $600. So I'll probably be the only person that you hear say it because nobody again has whatever it takes. Some people are like, "Oh, it's done." What does that mean? Where does it go? I don't know. It's gonna go up higher. I mean, to me, I hate to say it's just hard to see a ceiling in something like this. It's almost impossible to play as well. Like I mean, I'm not going to pay 10 $15,000 for an out of the money option. I'm not going to pay 100 to $150 per option contract. 10 to 15,000 per option contract to have a GME. Personally, not my thing. I do think it could go higher. I have no position. I wouldn't take a position. I have no plan on taking a position at this moment in GME. So just so we're clear. And for disclaimer, I have no position in silver at the moment. That could obviously change, but at the moment as I do this. So here's the deal. We have hedge funds going massively short. We have a bunch of FOMO train retail investors as well as wealthy investors who are being exposed to a buy silver mentality. I'll call it a mentality. I'll move my head here in a second. I'll call it a buy silver mentality because at the end of the day, I'm not on the forum. I haven't read it. I'm just going off what I hear and read on the internet. I'll tell you, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced it by now, but as a day trader, everybody's asking, "What do you think of GameStop? What do you think of GameStop? What do you think of silver? What do you think of silver? And what do you think of these hedge funds? What do you think? Do you think they're right?" And I get flooded with that. For me, it's just going to be like, Newsbeat show 698 on YouTube. No investment advice as always. Enjoy. So you have a bunch of FOMO train retailers. Now, who are the FOMO train? What's a FOMO train? Um, it's literally like a train, meaning it's very long, of people, and it just says FOMO on the side. In English, it's a bunch of people who missed out on making money on GameStop, Nokia, BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, Palantir, other names. They don't want to miss the next train. So this is going to be probably the most important determination of how this Reddit group is going to continue having an effect on the market. Because if silver fails, and what I mean by fail, it goes down from wherever it's gapping up, and It just can't go up by the end of the week, which I'm predicting will not happen. But if that happens, where silver just continues lower, they are going to lose all of their respect in terms of people aren't going to blindly follow them. Now, and just to make you feel better, nobody talks about the people who lose money on this. You'll always hear the story of the person who turned 10,000 into 2 million, 50,000 into 20 million. You'll hear those stories, but in my experience, like outside the Newsbeat live room people I talk to, like most people have lost money on that. Like most people have not made money trading these names. And then, of course, you hear the little trader who just jumped in and jumped out, but the people who jumped in late are suffering massive losses. One of the most outspoken critics of everything going on is a man by the name David Portnoy. He runs Barstool Sports. He does amazing work for pizzerias. He has this show called One Bite, and he'll go by a pizzeria. And the importance of it is all these businesses have been failing. All of these businesses have been struggling and failing. So he goes and he does a review of their pizzeria. And he literally like does the review like outside holding he'll buy like one pizza pie, he'll eat like a slice, and then he'll like rate it from 1 to 10 with like one decimal, like 7.2 or 6.8 or or 8.5. Like he'll rate the thing. And um if you just listen to all these business owners, they like he just literally has resparked, their entire business from going out of business. He's a very outspoken critic of everything who's going on. He's very on the side of Wall Street bets here. But I just need to point out, he said it on air that he spent $2 million with the Wall Street bet names. He dropped a couple $1 million, and when one of the I forgot who was interviewed, he did several interviews. You can find them all over the internet. One of the people asked him, "How are you doing so far?" And he said he was down, and this was on January 29th, so that was, I believe, Friday. Yeah, it was last Friday. At the moment on Friday, he said he was down $700,000 plus another 200,000. At the moment, while he was doing one of the interviews, I'm not sure exactly what time the interview was, if it was in the middle of the day or earlier or later, but at one point he was down $900,000 off of 2 million. So in English, he was at one point, whether it comes back from it or not, he was down half of his money. No, so I want you to know, here's a multi-millionaire, very smart guy, does a lot of good things in the world. He's down half his money trying to follow these Wall Street bet plays. They're not easy, and I don't want people to fall into that trap. I know I said this is for educational purposes and you can do what you want because you can, but I just need you to keep in mind that you hear stories of these little, you'll hear all the positive stories, but people who've blown up on it, it's just not a sexy story to share. And even though somebody like him, he can afford losing the money, he went ahead and he lost 900,000 out of $2 million. So far, he's still in. He says he's not selling. Maybe he'll make 10 times 20 times as much. I don't know. But like, I just want you to get that sort of whiff of what it could get ugly. So me personally, um, I'm looking deep out of the money with some time value. I'm thinking like either $35 March calls, or I'm looking at like $50 January 2022 calls. I just want to be deep out of the money, and I just want to explain. I have no position at the moment. That can change. I just want to explain my mentality behind it. My mentality is I have to come up with a number that I'm comfortable losing 100%. Whatever I put in, if I buy, $100,000 worth of options here, I have to be able to say I'm going to lose 100 grand, and I gave it a shot. If I do 50,000, it could be 50,000. If I do $500, I have to know in my head that I'm risking the full 100% amount, not half of it, not three-quarters of it, but 100% of it. And once I get to that point where I'm comfortable losing 100% of my money, the good thing is you could choose what 100% is equal to. Too many people get caught up like losing 100% of your money. Yeah, but you decide what number 100% is. So, like, that's probably going to be my approach. Again, you're dealing with a metal that's extremely beaten up. You're dealing with these hedge funds who I believe are going to cover it and even go long. These hedge funds can counter troll this Reddit group so well. Imagine this. Let me paint a picture. Imagine these hedge funds zip their lip. They don't say a word right away. They cover their position and they buy massive futures. Because just so you know, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to buy like silver options and silver futures than it is GME calls. Like, look at GameStop calls. It's almost impossible. The only way you could really cover a big position in GameStop, it feels like for me personally, is to buy GameStop. And with silver, it's a lot easier. So the funny thing is, in my opinion, these people on Reddit don't even need to sell it. Excuse me, they don't even need to buy it. All they would need to do is create the illusion. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Who the hell knows these? I don't know these 8 million people. You think I know what they're doing? But even just creating the illusion of buying it, they could sit on their ass and do nothing and watch silver move. But if the hedge funds do cover their silver positions as well as go long, and let's even say, and again, let's 80% of every dollar thrown at silver is long as opposed to short from these forums. Like I'm not even saying 100%, obviously not. Like 80%, I cannot imagine why silver does not go to 40 bucks. And I'm talking right now, and it's only up 6%, just so we're clear. Like it's up 6%. It would have to, in order for my lofty price target to have any fruition of reality, I mean, from already being up this much, you would need to go up, about 40, a little less than 50% from here, and it's only up 6%. So I understand the boldness of what I'm saying. The only thing I'll also add on top of it with SLV is it makes no sense. Silver just has not rallied with the market at all. And the only thing I can imagine why is exactly, and again, I'm making it up in my head, but I'm just putting one and one together for what I see. So it's not, it's an educated guess. It's not just a random guess. With all, if silver is being artificially held down by massive shorts in all these funds, why wouldn't you see $100 silver? Now, I'm also going to talk about what could prevent that from happening. So I want to talk about that, and then I'm going to get into the markets, and I'm going to talk about the broader market in general, which has been falling a little recently, and futures are gap down a bit at the moment right now. So definitely, I'm going to share my opinion on that. You might be surprised about what I say on that. I mean, silver, again, I'll say, just in my opinion, silver is by far the most important metal to humanity. I mean, outside of precious metal, not like, oh, well, how about steel, Mark, or aluminum? Fine, fine. But silver, in terms of what's considered a precious metal, to me, is one of the most widely used important metals to humanity, especially being an antimicrobial with what we're going through with COVID. So with that being said, if the reason why silver is being held down, and I'll take you to a weekly chart here. If the Actually, let me take you to a monthly. Actually, you know what? I'll take you to a yearly. I want you to see the 1 year chart. I'm just gonna erase all these lines. No need for them anymore. I mean, if what I am thinking is true, last year's high in SLV was 2739. We might be above there in the morning. I don't know how far up or down it will go, but I'll tell you right now, politics aside, because there's no room for that in my show at all. Fact. Fact. The new administration is going to print trillions of dollars. I already did my show on hyperinflation, and this is going to go into my market point. If we continue hyperinflating the dollar, and we're going to print, I think right now on the table is 1.9 trillion. Um, I believe more is going to come after that. We have unity of the great three powers in America at the moment in terms of the House, Senate, and presidency are all owned by the same political faction. You know, they're not going to have any problem getting things passed, is my point. So if silver is weighted in US dollars, if silver is weighted in, as is all the stocks as well, and this is going to go into my market thesis, I am just unable to jump on board and understand why my price target, shorter term price target, between I would say 2 to 3 weeks would be $40, which is a phenomenally bold on SLV. Again, it's for educational purposes only. It's entertainment. Don't buy it. I would not. I'll put a $40 target. 2 to 3 weeks. Be, between now and 3 weeks. Let's make it between right now as I speak and 3 weeks from now. So 3 weeks from now will be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, February 21st. Between now and February 21st, silver $40, which is a phenomenally bold call for silver. This isn't this isn't a 25-cent stock going to 30 or 40 cents. This is silver. Now, there was an argument that was also, now I'm going to go into the markets now. So there was an argument talking on the media, well, these hedge funds, they're going to have to sell shares of their companies to cover their losses and their shorts. And what do you think? What do you think? I I was lied to. I mean, I was told all along that the market is a zero-sum game. Somebody has to buy those shares that the hedge funds are selling. Yeah, but it could drive down the market and it'll hurt everybody, these retail investors. I disagree. I disagree. I think the hedge funds are smart. I think they understand the game. And I think all they have to do is instead of trying to be Superman, holding the train back as the train is coming at you and it's like pushing you back, it's like, oh, oh, oh. Instead of like something like that, all they have to do is say, all right, I'm going to get the F out of the way right over here, and I'm going to hop on the train. And I'm going to hop on the train. And guess what? When I hop on the train, I'll put more coal in that furnace that will drive that train further than any of you guys here, any of you small retail investors here, because we have the capital. And if they were to do that, they would A, create a self-fulfilling prophecy for the Wall Street bet people. B, the Wall Street bet people would be like, yeah, we won. They would all be high-fiving. Everybody would have tons of money, right? Which I showed you before is not exactly true because people who, like including David Portnoy, he was down 900,000 at one point, and I'm not saying he won't make money. He very well might. But the hedge funds would be up massively. And not only that, when the hedge funds needed to exit their position, they could just simply exit and reshort at a higher price. Because I guarantee you right now, hedge funds rather be short GME from wherever it's trading now as opposed to $40. Would you rather be short GME at $325 or would you rather be short at $40? You know? And of course, the point I'm making is why be short silver here? Let's say it opens up whatever high, whatever high. Let's say it opens up at $27, whatever it is. Let's say silver, and by silver I mean SLV, opens up at $27. Don't you think these hedge funds are smart enough to say, well, we're short from like 20. We could just chew this loss, jump on the bandwagon, go long. When it shoots up, make F tons of money, and potentially reconsider at that point if we want to just reshort at a higher price. And logically, I I'm having trouble with a scenario that would literally delve in a different direction from exactly that. And this is the part nobody, like what I'm explaining to you here is the part nobody is talking about. What I'm really attempting to do is psychoanalyze the actual hedge funds themselves. Put yourself in their sneakers. They're not looking at this in terms of just damage control, which they have to, you know. They're also looking at it as how do we capitalize on this situation? Because that is what they do. That is the whole goal of a hedge fund, to make money. To me, if I was running a hedge fund, which I am not, I would simply, and I was, let's pretend I was short silver, which let's just pretend I was in a hypothetical situation, and I was sitting down at a table with the whole board of the company. I'd be like, okay, guys, look, we're going to buy the living F out of the silver futures. Which ones? I don't give an F. Buy a bunch of them. We have tons of money. Just make sure it's a few months out or more. That's it. Go nuts. Keep averaging down every single hour. Do an average of the VWAP. Do an average of this. Do an average. So we get a good entry price on it. Just buy the F out of it. But Mr. Melnick, we're short. Yeah, I know. We were short. But what if it goes down? Well, if we buy that much silver, we would have to have some form of people would notice that a lot of these contracts are going off. That is public information. On top of that, we would get people who are scared on the Reddit side of the table, and they would be slowly drawn in. Because sometimes people need a lot of convincing to buy something. Ooh, do I buy now? Do I buy? I don't know. Should I buy? I don't know what's going to happen. And if you get those guys in, it would drive it more, and then it would drive like wildfire, and then you would see it, you know, and then other hedge funds would have to do, and then other people would have to do, and then other, and it would just literally cause again a short squeeze. And then when I'm up so many F tons of money that I don't know what to do with myself, I'm gonna say buy puts and sell out. Now we stuck it right back to the retail investor you. Gotcha, baby. You ever hear the expression? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. No shame on me here. Shame on you guys at the Reddit forum. Now, they could create this as a self-fulfilling prophecy. This, if effective, might, considering, and now I'm going to talk about what can stymie this entire process. What would ruin this entire process would simply be a form of government intervention. Government intervention, hedge fund intervention. Just to be clear, and look, I'm on your side. I'm on your side because I want you to be informed. That's it. I want you to be informed. I want you to know that when GME is moving up, in my opinion, you have a lot more people who lost money on that. Retail investors. Now, for the hedge funds, yeah, they got destroyed. Them aside, a lot more retail people got hurt, in my opinion, on that side. Yes, you'll have all these beautiful stories. I know they're there. What people don't know is that Robinhood literally, how does Robinhood give me all this free options in stock trades? That's lovely. And they give me a free stock too. How do they do that? They're just they're like taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Not really. You see, so what Robinhood has been doing and why there's so much drama on them is they literally sell your information to the hedge funds. What do you mean your information? You mean like my social security and my email address? Like, no, not that. Maybe that, but that's not what I would know of. They're literally selling your order flow to the hedge funds so that they know how to use that information for whatever purposes they need to do to make money. They pay for that privilege, and that's how Robinhood makes money, just so we're clear. Um, they lose money when you do a trade, but they make so much more by selling the information that it overcomes it. You understand? That's why you are paying, but you're not paying. That's like when you watch a free movie on TV and they show you commercials. Yeah, they make money. You don't pay to watch any channel on your television outside of cable, of course, but the commercials is how they get paid. So in this case, just so we're clear with what is happening here, when Robinhood literally limited people to buying one share, they literally gave the hedge funds an easy way to cover their shorts so they didn't get destroyed. That is why people are angry at Robinhood, just so we're clear. I have no opinion on it, but you can have whatever opinion you want. My job here is to share with you what's happening, and allow you to make your own informed decision based on the information provided. With all that being said, if there is no massive government intervention, if all the brokerages don't, if all these brokerages just are smart and they're like, you know what, you guys, you hedge fund guys are on your own. We can't tell people what not to trade. They can't tell you what not to do. They can't tell you not to short 140% of the open float of a company. I don't even know how that's possible, by the way. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I'm sure I could find an answer, but whatever it is, right? But in this case of silver, if the hedge funds try to front run the train in this situation, meaning they're just going to hop on board with all the Wall Street bets guys, we can have a win-win situation for the people who are on early and are holding early who don't get in much, much later from here, in my opinion. And with that being said, they could be the new most powerful force driving the market outside of the hedge funds. Because what happens is if this silver trade works, and this is the GME wasn't the most important trade. The GME puts you on the map and pulls all the eyes towards you. In my opinion, if they win this time with silver, if they win this time with SLV and it shoots up stupid like a GME, they're untouchable. The people will literally be able to call out what's up. And if hedge funds are going to be too afraid to go short, and this is back to the markets, if hedge funds are going to be too afraid to go short, if hedge funds are going to have to sell long positions, whatever, to cover their short, which maybe yes, maybe no. Again, anything can happen. We have an administration printing trillions of dollars, just like the prior administration. That printing of trillions continues. We have a ballooning US debt, and you have people, the voice of the retail trader, which is the voice of the people. Yes, there are more people inside Wall Street Bets online forum than there are hedge fund managers on the planet times 20. Okay? Just so we're clear, the amount of size, and yes, they will still grow. If that's the case, you're looking at the new strongest driving force of the market in United States history. You are literally taking over the hedge funds where it makes no sense for the hedge funds to fight. They're just going to jump on that train a lot harder than anybody else has to. And once you start doing that, you printing trillions of dollars, you continue to print trillions of dollars, you continue to try to squeeze shorts out of people in a market that's already by all-time highs. I don't see any reason why this market does not have another full leg higher. So I am still extremely bullish on the markets here. Now, with that being said, I just want to be perfectly clear. That doesn't mean I don't think we could get a down move in the market. And again, this is all for educational purposes, just so we're clear. What I am saying is it's going to be a BTFD all the way down. Like buy the dip, buy the freaking dip every step of the way. For myself personally, like, and again, that does require skill. It's easier said than done. I get it. So all right, the market dipped. You buy it here, or do you buy yesterday? Like I get it, but in my opinion, the more you go down, the harder you have to go up. Because again, the triple Qs are weighted in US dollars. Again, I'm not sure if you guys knew what the US debt clock looks like. I made a predictive call a few years ago that if we break the $27.5 trillion mark on the US national debt, which you could see, right over here, if you break that level here, like I think we're at the point of no return. I don't think we could stop. No matter what we do, I do not think we can stop this. I think it's over. And I just want to be clear. I have never been one of those people who are like, we're going to hyperinflate and your dollar's going to be worthless. I think everybody knows that at a certain point. I do think those people were more town criers and, very early on the prediction and maybe over exaggerators. And I'm not saying our dollar's going to be worthless, but I do expect the value of a lot of people's houses to go up 200 to 250% in the next 18 months. I do expect gasoline prices to continue going up. I do expect everything to get more expensive. And that actually, the funny part about it, in terms of long term health in the United States, I think that's positive because the more trillions of dollars we print, the easier it is to pay off the debt. Now, let me just point a picture to you. We're printing about $2 trillion on the next package. That's what's being discussed. You could see we're 27.8 trillion dollars in debt at this exact moment, and that number is going to balloon to over 30 after the next stimulus package. And that doesn't go into all the other debts. I think our debt's closer to 100 trillion when you think about Social Security because there is no Scrooge McDuck money vault that's set aside and said this is for Social Security to pay it off. We literally need to create the dollars to pay off. And we're either going to not pay people their Social Security or we're going to print more money, most likely. In my opinion, the US will, keep their word and just print more money. But with all that being said, the printing of money, the hyperinflation, the voice of the people, the squeezing the more shorts, you know, to me, it almost feels like it's an inevitability that the market will go higher. And again, that doesn't mean you just go straight up with no down days. I could see we're clearly in a short-term, downtrend. I could clearly see that the Qs drop, the spiders drop. Like I get it. Like I totally get it. But to me, I think we're going to experience. I think this year is going to be one of the most defining years in terms of what changes in U.S. stock markets indefinitely. Is the government going to step in and ban forums, ban public speaking forums? Are they going to just accept the fact that the retail investor can all join up and say, hey, we like silver? There's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of, what way's the train going to take us? And at this point, it's hard for me to imagine that there would be a system in place right now that would be able to potentially stop what might happen in silver this week. So leave me a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are just more informed. Again, I try to bring these videos. It's always my goal to come from a very apolitical or non-political stance. Just try to share with you, what is happening, and ultimately just try to inform you because I do believe an informed trader is the most powerful trader. I do believe traders who understand the situation, the more information you have, the better off you'll be on average. So that is ultimately my goals with these videos. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on silver, GameStop, hedge funds, and the markets. Happy trading, make money. And I'll see you guys next time on the Newsbeat live trading broadcast. There's links in the description if you're interested in following us.